Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was my boots. I've been wearing these boots, or boots just like them, they're military boots, since I was 30 years old. At the age of 30, I got baptized as an adult, so technically I became an Anabaptist. I'd been baptized as a child, but at the age of 30, I decided to take responsibility for my relationship with God. Being baptized as a baby is not nearly enough. It's a sign of God's grace, and that grace is always with you. But the moment of decision is when you say, I am going to follow in the way of Jesus. These boots have walked many, many miles. Now I'm thinking Nancy Sinatra for some reason. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. There's a song for everything in my head. But walking has been an important part of my life from the very beginning. When I was in the womb in a little Dutch village, Mom was known by everybody because Mom walked the streets. She would go to get carrots, she'd go to visit somebody, she'd go here, she'd go there. And I was with her in the womb. And her character was being formed in me, just like my body was being formed by her body. I walked with her when I was in the womb. I walked with her when I was in a baby carriage. I walked with her, well no, I didn't actually walk, I rode, because she liked to ride a bike and I'd sit on the back. But the same thing, walking about, traveling about with Mom, and being exposed to Mom's great gift, a gift that life has not been able to take away from her, the gift of kindness. I learned that. Now, I can't tell you about all of my adventures walking. I've walked the highways of Canada. I've walked the streets of cities in Canada. But in a primary way, Winnipeg has been my home, and a large part of my walking has been done in the streets of Winnipeg. Now, walking is important to me because it exposed me to life on the street. We live in homes. We live in safe, secure places. We live, in a basic sense, at ease. I'm not saying there aren't troubles. But when you walk about on the streets, you realize that there's a whole segment of the population that is basically unseen by many, many people. I have talked with so many hobos, so many bums. I have walked so many drunks home and tucked them into their beds at night and tried to get the bottle away from them. I have met people on bridges contemplating suicide, chatted with them and suggesting that maybe they have a reason to live. I have had thousands of encounters with people on the street. And all that while, I was an observer. I was a watcher. And I have learned at this mature age that there are certain patterns at work in our society that are very destructive of human well-being. Power is loosed in the earth now in a way that presents a very serious threat to our well-being and the well-being of our children and our children's children. I know that we as a society need to listen to what it is that the Spirit has been saying through all the ages. The Spirit of God, which hovers above the confusion of life on earth, seeking to speak a word, that word being, let there be light. And of course, we who have faith are glad because the next phrase is, and there was light. If we open our hearts, if we open our minds to the presence of God in the world, we have opportunity to be the difference for which we long. Jesus is not somebody who wants to be admired and worshipped. Jesus is somebody who wants to be followed. And to follow means to be like, to take the pattern that we see in Jesus and make that the pattern of our lives. Now Jesus lives in a tradition, and that for me is the tradition of the prophets. The prophets were those who in the face of power declared truth in the hope of liberation from the abuse of power. This is a historical cycle. In every age, power dominates, power rules, power exploits, power oppresses. And every time when it gets to a critical point, God raises up persons to speak to the issue of power and its abuse. Jeremiah was such a person. At a very early age, he was called by the Spirit of God. That is to say, there was something inside of him, something intuitive, something imaginative, that heard a message suggesting that he should speak and set the power straight. And Jeremiah does exactly what any of us would do. Now, we might not any longer say, I'm young, I can't speak. But many of us will say, I don't know how to talk about the things of God. I don't know how to speak your word, God. And then the word that God says to Jeremiah is, Jeremiah, don't worry about your ability to speak. This is one of the great graces of my life. I don't worry about my ability to speak. I just open my mouth and start going blah, blah, blah. Trusting, just like Jeremiah, that the Spirit of God is in the room, that the Spirit of God is in my heart, that the Spirit of God is in your heart, and that the message you are hearing is not the words that I am speaking, but the Spirit moving in your mind, moving in your heart, and leading you to the place of decision. Jeremiah was a prophet. A prophet is somebody who speaks truth in the public square in the hope of healing. Now, Jeremiah's reading is followed by the psalm. And the psalm is typical of the Psalms. It's a psalm about my confidence is only in God. My hope is only in God. My trust is only in God. The psalm is a poetic expression of trust. And we, like Jeremiah, have the liberty to take our trust and move it from all kinds of worldly objects and take that trust and focus it on God. And not a religion about God. And this is something that we are experiencing in the modern world. The religion about God is dying. But God is not dying. God is here and there and everywhere, moving just like the wind, blowing through the forest, shaking things up. God is in the earth, longing for us to turn back to the way of life. Now, after the psalm, we get to Isaiah. And Isaiah is an important person in the history of the Old Testament because Isaiah, in many ways, becomes the pattern for the life and the work of Jesus. And Isaiah has two primary focuses. Isaiah is saying, people, stop pointing the finger. And one of the first messages I ever gave to a church was when I had just met Barbara. And I gave a talk about Jeremiah. And while I was talking, I was going like this. I was judging these people. Well, God gave me Barbara to be my companion. And not too long after the service, maybe 5 minutes, she said, don't point your finger. just like Isaiah. Don't point your finger. The spirit of accusation, the spirit of judgment. And in our language, if we pay attention, we will notice a thing that is common to most of us. A thing that in my family we call triangling. If me and my brother Maynard were sitting at the table talking, we'd talk about how bad my sister Eva was. If Eva and I were sitting at the table, we'd talk about how bad Maynard was. And if Maynard and Eva were sitting at the table talking, I wasn't there, but based on my experience, they were probably talking about how bad I was. Because sometimes, when you put other people down, you think it's a way of lifting yourself up. Isaiah says, don't put anybody down. Now this brings me to one of the things that I saw walking the streets of Winnipeg and elsewhere. People put down the poor. I was in Vancouver not long ago at a bus stop, and there was a beggar sitting beside the bus stop, humbly, little cap in his hand, and a dad, looked affluent, walking by with his boy. And they were going to wait for the bus. And the little boy said to his dad, "Dad, who's that?" And Dad said, "Don't look at him. Don't give him any attention. He's no good. He's a beggar." And that attitude is not limited to that dad. There is a sense in our society where the poor are despised. The broken, the lost, they're despised. But Isaiah says, stop being divided by accusation and judgment. Get together, unify yourselves, and out of your unity, begin to do good in exactly the way that Jesus did good. Be kind to strangers. Be generous to the needy. Be humble, even when you're among the proud. We are called to make manifest the love of God, not as theology, not as ideology, not as politics, not as religion, but as human kindness, human care. Jesus walked about. He saw a beggar. He saw a blind man. He saw a prostitute. Society at large excluded these people, shut them out, thought them deserving of shame and guilt. Jesus did not. Jesus saw them as persons loved by God, and he made that love real, tangible. I'm just looking at Harvey when I'm talking, and I think of one example as Oak Table, which we support as a congregation. This is a place where folks of all kinds, every manner of history, all kinds of experience, and when they enter into the Oak Table dining space, there's a sense in which they are welcomed, appreciated, valued, and there's a general sense that in the background there's prayer that these folks might find their way. I have been thinking this week about my role as a minister, and I'm realizing that I think so much about what I've thought about all week and how will I remember it today. And this is where the texts are helpful to me, because it's not about me. It's not even about any ministry in the church. It's all about the Spirit of God. There's so much I could say, and I would like to go on and on. Hi, Esme.
We can come back next week for part 2.
Thank you, Craig. Amen. No, there's one more thing I want to say, and that's the story about the woman who is bent over. And that's an important image, because each one of us may feel bent over with the weight of the world. All of us together may feel bent over with the destiny of the church. As a society, we may feel bent over by the burdens and the oppression of our social times. meeting Jesus, this lady is relieved of her burden. As we open our hearts to let the Spirit of Jesus inside, so that the Spirit of Jesus begins to direct our way, then we will become straight and tall. We will become useful in God's way. The lady, when she met Jesus, got up and her oppression was gone. She was liberated. And I think each of us has opportunity to relate to Jesus in such a way that we become truly free. Always remembering that being free may cause us troubles in a society that does not value freedom very highly. Craig, would you say amen?
Amen.
Thank you, sir. And let's sing a song.